Hey everyone, welcome back to another segment of the MCR. Mac and me. My name's TJ, and right out of the gate, I am battling a bit of a head cold, chest cold. So if my voice sounds weird, please forgive me. Uh, I may have to occasionally mute. Okay, if you see me doing that, you can assume I'm coughing or something. All right, sorry there, everyone. Everyone's heard about the fires in L.A. And just very quickly, I read a news report. It mentioned 7 counties. I don't know if it's seven or how many. And then I saw another news report where it listed the damage to 5 of the counties. And the 5 counties they had listed is kind of I'm going to call the northern perimeter of the Los Angeles area. Okay. Uh, and just very quickly, Lydia, and this is the information I have, and you can assume it's probably worse by now. But this was reported Saturday, January 11th, 2025. Okay, so this may run perhaps the 13th or whenever. Okay. Anyways, Lydia, 348 acres. Hurst, 831 acres. Kenneth, 960 acres. Eaton, and Eaton is just outside Pasadena to the north. Eaton, 13,993. And by the time you hear this, it'll be most likely over 14,000. Palisades, which is on the Pacific Ocean just north of Santa Monica, 22,660 acres. And yeah, by the time you hear this, it'll most likely be greater than 23,000. All right. Uh, so it's quite the hellish nightmare out there. And you think fire fires start, but how could it have gotten this bad? And you come to a list of assumptions here: lack of resources, lack of personnel, lack of equipment, lack of water, lack of competency. And I'm just going to, in summary, say just an all around lack of anyone giving a shit. Mac, your thoughts so far?
Well, they give a shit, but they give a shit about whether the fire chief is a lesbian or transgender or woke enough. They want to have the first this, the first that, and all these other things like putting out fires and saving lives and saving property are secondary to those woke concerns.
Well, those problems that I listed, lack of resources, personnel, equipment, all of those are the result of whether it be DEI, some kind of woke agenda, green agenda, lack of resources, uh, budget cuts, which the mayor's saying no, they weren't, and that yet when you look at the budget, it appears that it is. Okay, lack of personnel. Going back to a few years back when COVID was in full swing, you had a fair number of firefighters resign because they weren't going to take the jab. Okay, now you've got uh, woke fire chief, head fire chief, whatever the position's called. Uh, I think she's a lesbian. It's all about DEI and satisfying that agenda. The green agenda, pardon me, there, folks. The green agenda, uh, the diverting of water from the reservoirs or wherever to save a 3-inch smelt. Okay, and Palisades, the granddaddy of them all, a dried out reservoir that would have contained 117 million gallons, which would have been more than adequate to extinguish the Palisades forest fire. So just it's the perfect nightmare, perfect firestorm of the whole Democrat platform, we'll say. You
Right.
know,
It's beyond reason, is
they're
what it is.
more worried about a 3-inch smelt, you
Right.
know, and satisfying ancient tribal tradition of water flowing going here or there or wherever. Meanwhile, the last report I saw, and correct me if you have a better figure, Mac, but I saw at least 16 reported dead, and that's right now. Oh,
Yeah,
and
it'll take time to find others.
none of these areas that I listed are really truly contained. Okay, I mean, who knows how much worse this is going to get? That's what I'm saying. I'm sure the acreage figures that I gave there, it's gonna be significantly greater than the figures I just mentioned.
Right.
You know, uh, oh, and that reservoir, the Santa Ynez Reservoir, I guess technically it was down for repair, but within a year's time frame, they couldn't even get the thing repaired.
Right.
You know, so it
I've
sat dry.
I've not had time to vet this, but I did read uh, that when Gavin
Newscomb.
Newscomb was approached by the woman who ran up to his car and said, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" I just got off the phone with the president. I think that's been found out not to be true.
Well, you know, if all of that wasn't bad enough, now we're getting reports of some of these people may not even be insured. And the reason for that is a couple months ago, some insurance agencies, I don't know which ones, I don't know how many, I don't know to what extent, other than the news report is some of these insurance agencies got so fatigued with state regulations, they said, that's it, we're done, we're out of here. And that was about
Well,
2 months ago.
I have a longtime friend who lives in the Los Angeles area, and he told me, he mentioned specifically State Farm pulled out last year, and he had great concerns about being able to insure his house going forward. I told
And
him, I said, I'll call him John for the sake of discussion. I said, John, you got to get the hell out of there, man. And he said, well, yeah. He goes, moving to Michigan's not an option because of Governor Whitlis. So,
well, yeah.
we have some of the same nonsense happening here, and you have to wonder what's our disaster going to be, where people are going to die for DEI, which really ought to be spelled DIE, because that's what it causes, death.
Well, I heard one, I don't know if you call it meteorologist, he defined the California climate as, and he used the word Mediterranean as in Mediterranean Sea over there, by Europe. And he said, and what they meant by that is low amount of precipitation, low amount of humidity, kind of almost like a high desert is what I always pictured it as.
Right.
And the Santa Ana winds were up to almost 100 miles an hour, and so the slightest bit of spark or something is an immediate fire, and and if all of that, I keep saying if all of that wasn't bad enough, let's just add to that now the finger pointing. Now those of us who live in flyover country, we're the ones to blame because we don't care about climate change. And because we don't care about climate change, we've contributed to the demise of their climate and their misery, their fire. It's all our fault.
Well, here's what's going on. I happen to hear this from Victor David Hansen, who lives in California, so he sees this on a regular basis. He goes, you got about 200,000 homeless people living in California, many in Los Angeles, many in the bigger cities like San Francisco. And, it gets cold at night in these deserts, as you put it. It could be get into the 30s. Well, if you're living outside and it's 30 degrees, you need some kind of warmth. So what do? They start fires. This creates the very scenario you just went through.
Well, as to how this is, one of the comments was this isn't going to end until it just burns its way to the ocean and then burns itself out. But one of the problems is some of these counties that I mentioned, Lydia, Hearst, Kenneth, well, even Eaton, they're nowhere near the ocean. And you know what? The only way they can burn is into the city of LA itself. And that's already happening in the two larger areas. They're talking entire neighborhoods have been wiped out, cataclysmic level. Well,
Bill O'Reilly keeps using the term biblical. And I'm sure there are folks out there who are going to say this is God's punishment for the way they live. And whether it is or not, I certainly don't know. But Uh, it's a mess.
Well, I remember you made the comment once, if withholding the hand of protection, you
Yes.
know, uh, but you know, and then it's still not done. I heard, and I don't know if it was Victor Davis Hanson, because I've been listening to him too a lot lately. Uh, One of them made the comment that once the fires have all extinguished and now they rebuild, uh, now they've got to navigate the woke green agenda to rebuild. Out comes the hoops, or are they going to come out? Uh, you need a permit for that. You can't build. Well, you can't build there anymore because we got the 3-inch smelt swimming around or something. You know, I mean, that whole nightmare has yet to even begin. And there's speculation. People are going to say, "That's it. I'm done. I'm out of here." We mentioned a few months ago, California lost 4 electoral college votes. You know, uh, you know, the census after that. Uh, might they lose another 1, 2, or 3 because of this? You know what? Who knows? Who knows? Uh,
They're slowly making themselves irrelevant. The problem is a lot of these people will go to a place that prospers like Texas and turn it blue.
yeah, that is. Yeah, at least in California, they're contained. But uh, that's That's all I got. If you have any final thoughts, we'll call this one a wrap.
No, we'll call it. We'll wrap it there.
All right, and to our faithful listeners, I apologize for my head cold. I clearly am not at my best with my health right now. So thanks for putting up with me. And we'll catch you in the next segment. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.